Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Luke and Alex Comicast, where each week we take a look at a different comic arc or graphic novel. Last episode, I picked Batman Year One by Frank Miller, and this week, Alex chose Volume 1 of Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four run. So, I think we have a lot to get into with this arc. I think neither Alex nor I don't think either of us are really big into Fantastic Four.
I haven't read much. I think I just read like Ultimate.
Yeah, so I thought it was really really nice, and I thought because obviously I think as just a comic book reader, you kind of get an idea of the Fantastic Four and they're Marvel's first family, but to actually sit down and actually read the comic and kind of go deeper into the characters, I thought it was a nice treat.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. It honestly wasn't. I didn't like it as much as I expected. Honestly, it could just be the time and place that I'm reading.
I think part of it is that it seemed to me that there was a lot of setting up with this volume. It really seemed like he was kind of, and I think I would say that's something I noticed in general with Hickman. He really takes kind of a long-term approach, I think, with his arcs. Generally, he's not just here's one volume that's kind of self-contained, and then I'm going to move to another volume that's also self-contained. It's like each volume kind of builds and builds on the previous stuff that he's written before. But I think there are some things that are kind of self-contained in this that we can kind of dig into.
I did get that impression though that if I kept reading this run, I would start to like it more. This first volume wasn't very exciting to me, I guess, but it's definitely like a good start if you just look at it as setting up for later arcs, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. So if we want to go talk about issue 1 specifically, so we had in issue 1, it's kind of again setting things up. You'll see, you kind of get beginning, you get like a flashback to Nathaniel, Richards, and Reed. I must say, well, first, I really, really enjoyed the art for the first, I think it was the first 3 issues.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
By Dale Eaglesham. The latter 2 issues, I think I was less of a fan of, but the first 3, I really enjoyed the art. Talking about the art, Nathaniel Richards looking very Jesus-like. I don't know if you noticed that too. I think in this issue and in this volume in general, I kind of had I think God versus man was a very big theme.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff and I think we'll kind of go into it as we go further, but yeah, you get Nathaniel Jesus Richards, basically, talking to Reed to open things up, and then we kind of go into a little fight scene. Were you a fan of the action that we kind of got?
Not particularly. I don't.
You didn't like it?
I mean, I don't. I just remember being like, okay, let's get on to the more human interaction stuff, as opposed to that. Starting with the fight sequence. I'm not generally. I was actually talking to somebody about this recently. I'm not generally a big fight sequence or action kind of person with fiction. It really, really depends. I like it when it feels like it has some kind of emotion or some kind of drama behind that action. But when it's just
a build up to it,
yeah, when it's just for example, I was saying, a lot of lightsaber duels in Star Wars I really like, because a lot of times it feels it's been built up to this, and it's there's tension between these characters. There's this human drama behind the fight. But when it's just kind of opening with action and stuff, my eyes kind of glaze over. I kind of just get through it,
Yeah, that's what I kind of picked up on too. And I think, and I'm kind of interested whether that was more of a Hickman or more of a thing with the artist, because it did feel like there was action going on, but it felt mostly like it was dialogue with the action kind of around it. Like it was like, here's a fight scene going on, but it's really just like the characters kind of interacting, with the fight scene just being kind of secondary. So yeah, we see the wizard and his lair, where I think, to me, I kind of took this as a pretty clear like parallel kind of between Reed and the wizard. I think I mean, the wizard specifically, like he kind of talks about he talks a lot about God. He talks about, he basically says like, is it playing God if you're truly serious about creation? No, it's not. He says, like, mentions that gods make mistakes. And overall, I thought it was kind of interesting, because I didn't really realize before I read this that Reed reminds me a lot of, he has very similar like personality to Superman in a lot of ways.
How
yeah,
so?
That's what I was.
Just how so? Like, particularly, did you feel that?
Well, I'm in regards to this, I'm talking specifically Superman, not Clark Kent.
Okay.
Because I think that, and again, it could be just how Hickman portrays it. He really like tries to. I think he really emphasized like that, even though Reed, I mean, Reed is a superhero, obviously, but he's even kind of still beyond other, like his brain is kind of operating on a different level. And I think that you're seeing a kind of conflict between, as we'll kind of get into this idea of him wanting to solve everything, you know, which I think that's also something that you see a lot in Superman too, you know, and that's like, because it's like this idea that only he is capable of doing this thing, you know, that not even his family can really help him with.
Yeah, like he's like this like Messiah, like God figure. I don't know. He can solve all the world's problems. Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, and
first, I'm just go ahead.
Yeah,
I was just gonna go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to just mention like with the council too. Like, I thought it was kind of interesting, and I really want to applaud like Hickman's creativity, because like I think he really I thought this was like a great showing just of like how Hickman could kind of take this idea and really run with it, because he really swung for the fences, I think, with it, with all the reads and kind of all the ideas that I think that he really wanted to. He really encompassed like the multiverse of Marvel, which is impressive.
Oh yeah, it's it makes me think of like Spider-Verse or something, but like Reedverse.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. I thought it was, I don't know, kind of nerded out when they had the Infinity Gauntlets, but then it was a little disappointing when they couldn't use them, because they only can use them in the realm. So
yeah, is that a thing that I like didn't. I kind of thought there was only like one Infinity Gauntlet. I didn't realize there were like an Infinity Gauntlet per universe.
I guess. I guess that kind of makes sense that there's one per universe, because it's like when they find usually when they assemble the Infinity Gauntlet, don't you assemble it in one in like the canon, like the 616? So like
the gems are. So I guess you don't see the other ones, yeah.
Yeah, they don't go to other universe. Anyways, yeah, but I thought the Infinity Gauntlet had power over beyond one universe, but I guess I was wrong with that.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Like it was interesting, I think, how that was kind of like the explanation as to why like you have all these reads who have the Infinity Gauntlet, yet they're not really actually that powerful because it's not their universe.
I do wonder why they don't all just like try to assemble all the Infinity Gauntlets, and then they could solve all the universe's problems that way.
Yeah. Well, I think I guess we can kind of transition to the second issue, where I think they do go into it a little bit in regards, like one of the reads says, if I can find it, yeah, like, so 616 read asks, you're wearing an Infinity Gauntlet, a glove that will let any wish become reality. Why bother with all this when you could just snap your fingers? And then we get the whole thing about the gauntlet only functions in the universe it comes from. But the alternate read does say there's nothing wrong with getting your hands dirty, is there? And I think that's like I think it's kind of a read thing, that it's like he always needs to kind of be working. It's not, I think it's almost like solving it with the snap of his fingers would be too easy, like, or too detached.
It seems like you're implying that he's somewhat selfish, though, because like if there's a more efficient way for him to solve all the universe's problems, and he's not doing it because he'd rather, do it with his own two hands, that's kind of selfish to me.
I think it is too. Well, I think this is where we'll kind of see kind of what makes these reads different from 616 read. I think 616 read is a fascinating case to me, because on one hand, like, yes, he's definitely like he's a good guy, and like he's a good person and stuff, but like it must be pretty taxing, like, yeah, on his family, like on Sue, just to kind of be spending most of his time by himself, like locked up, kind of working on his own stuff, even though they're a family.
For sure. I mean, and we see that. I mean, he tests her patience, Sue's patience. Yeah.
Like, I thought it was kind of pretty rude, like when he went into the whole thing where like he was basically just like talking about how great he was. Like, he was saying, like, when I was 15, I split my first atom. By the time I was 25, I had spliced a gene and created a new life. And he was like, don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, geez, man, like, do you have to be so harsh about it?
I know. See, for a moment, I thought about that. For a moment, I was like, okay, he seems a little bit conceited here when he's just like listing all of his stuff off. But it's also like he's probably being honest, like he's probably being honest and saying like, I'm insanely smart and I know it. And it's like he's not even like bragging so much, but like just stating what is.
And I don't think he necessarily realizes how harsh it. I think it's one of those cases where like he isn't meaning it for it to sound so rude and kind of conceited. I think it's just he's kind of stating matter of factly. It just sounds really bad.
Yeah, because if most people said that, if most like most characters in the Marvel universe said that, it'd probably be a little bit like, a little bit of an inflated sense of self. But for Reed, like, we know that he's the guy is,
his like brain is just operating. Yeah. Like, if it was Tony Stark who said that, like, you'd be like, yeah, he's just being an asshole.
Yeah, like, chill, bro.
Yeah, it would just be Stark just like bragging. We're gonna move forward, I think, to the Doom thing pretty quick. I did just want to mention though, again, just give credit to Eaglefilm. The art in this issue with like the field of wheat is absolutely gorgeous. Like, the detail he gets in it, like with all the little individual like grains, it was like really pretty to me. I just wanted to kind of point that out. I don't know if you felt kind of the same thing. Like, it gave me a weird like feeling. Like, it was just like, wow, like this is, it felt like larger than life,
No, it really did. That was one of my favorite scenes, like artistically too. It was just, I mean, it was crazy. And then he was talking about how, like, that's not the only one and stuff.
Yeah, like there was worlds of these fields. It's like, wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's the idea of that is like so cool to me. It's like world these like beautiful worlds of just like fields of wheat. I kind of wanted to just go to one and run through it.
Exactly. Yeah, same here. Like, and that's the thing I think that was really interesting to me. I think, and that's also what I kind of thought about in regards to the Infinity Gauntlet is that like I think part of it is perhaps the fact that like we are currently living in a post Endgame Marvel Cinematic Universe world where I think that like right now we've kind of established in that universe that like the Infinity Gauntlet is like the biggest, baddest of the bad thing that's like in that universe. But like we still like I mean, and I mentioned like the Infinity Gauntlet is still kind of only it's great and all, but it's still not even at the like highest power level in the comic universe.
No, you know what? You know what might correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't Franklin Richards technically be beyond that? In that he can like create different universes.
Yeah, I think we'll get into that
too. Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, because there's a lot to talk about that. Yeah, I did want to talk about the Doom scene because that I think was really that I thought was really well done. Where you kind of see, I was trying to think of like the best. I mean, I guess like you could kind of look at it like it felt kind of like Injustice Supermanish to me. This idea of like let's like Doom is irredeemable. Let's just like make them all mindless slaves.
Yeah, that was a little it's that moment where you start to wonder if something's off with this whole council. I mean, I feel like you had that feeling from the beginning, like from the second you see this council, you're like, oh, this is too good to be true. And then it's like that, then you have that happen, and it's like you're like, okay, here it is. Here's the one but to this whole Reed Council thing.
Yeah, and then you had the elder one like literally being like, I've got some doom in me. I'm like, wow, okay. That's subtle.
Why don't we make him a mindless creature? Like that's what I was wondering. I was wondering like if he has doom in him and doom is so dangerous, then why is he allowed to, remain in the council? To me that just seemed like hypocrisy, and maybe it was supposed to.
Yeah, it was weird. We kind of move forward again, like we saw this really like this whole issue, this was actually I think my favorite issue of the arc. Like you see 616 Reed like just pulling, like literally operating on the scale of like billion times larger than like reality, and he's literally like pulling like a piece of dark matter out of a sun.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
This is so cool.
Yeah,
like, this is so nerdy, but it's so awesome too. I'm not even like.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's pretty sick.
There's a lot of cool. You're saying it's really nerdy. There's a lot of cool nerdy stuff in this arc. I think, just like in general. I mean, it's Reed Richards. It's the Fantastic Four, so.
Yeah, they're always kind of doing, multiversal, space, cosmic-y.
Yes.
All of that good stuff.
Infinity Gauntlet, Galactus, whatever.
Yeah. So we run into the Celestials, which brings us into issue 3, which was, again, I think would you say this fight scene was a little bit more rewarding, or was it still?
You're saying that fight scene? A little bit more so than the beginning one. More so than the beginning one. I don't know if I'd really call it absolutely gripping. The Celestials come in, they kill a bunch of people and they mess with people, and eventually they prevail. I don't know. It still didn't strike me as like my favorite fight scene ever. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think for me the biggest thing for it was like the first thing that I noticed with this fight, and we're gonna see kind of later on in issue 4, there were like it gets pretty graphic. Like the Celestials like literally like burn the skin off of two Reeds, and like you literally see like their skeletons with the Infinity Gauntlets on their hands. Like I was like, whoa. Yeah. And like the bones are like literally melting. It's like, geez, this is pretty graphic, but it's for a Fantastic Four comic, you know.
Yeah, definitely not feeling super PG. But I was gonna say one thing related to this scene that I don't want us to forget to mention is the moment where one of the Reeds reaches inside like their universe through this like one Reed.
Yeah, that was trippy.
What was happening? I was like, this is so cool, but what?
Yeah, well, I think the idea was, again, it seemed to me like this was one of those things, like as we mentioned before, the Infinity Gauntlet only works in regards to the universe. So I was like, but that's a pretty creative idea to be like, all right, well, if I can't be in the universe, I'll bring the universe to me. Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
That was kind of cool. You see him like holding up the Infinity Gauntlet. I'm like, okay, that's pretty sick.
That was literally
I don't like you. Like, I don't like you, Reed Richards. Like this version. It's like that's so pretty cool. I'll give you points for that. But overall, I did feel like what this kind of felt to me like as a kind of a thematic thing was it almost felt, you know, if we want to take this like God versus man metaphor, the Celestials basically, to me at least, felt like angels, pretty much being like, you've kind of messed with like the order of things. You know, like you are human, like you are superhumans, but you're still humans who are trying to like act beyond your means, basically. Which I thought was I thought it was an interesting thing, at least for me, kind of looking at it from that perspective of being like, you know, what does it say about like the Marvel universe and with these Reeds in general that like, is it really impossible for them to achieve what they want to do, you know, to solve everything?
Yeah, like is that going against like the gods? Like the Celestials, I think you call them angels, but they also a lot of times feel like these crazy cosmic beings. They feel kind of like gods, and don't they mention something like that in that scene? I believe I don't have it in front of me, but I think they say like they're close.
They act like gods, I think is what they said.
Yeah. So it feels like almost what they're doing is like defying these like, you know, defying nature and stuff. And it's like these Celestials have to come in and they want to put an end to it.
Yeah, like they want to punish them for their transgressions.
Exactly.
I did want to just touch on, because we haven't really talked about it much. What because we kind of got a scene with them. What are your thoughts when it comes to Franklin and Valeria Richards? I honestly did not know, like I did not remember that Valeria existed. I forgot she was a thing.
So I did remember them just from like, I don't know, like I read like that 2015 Secret Wars. It was very Fantastic Four centric, and they were both in it. And like they're both crazy powerful.
Yeah,
like that's one of the cool things about them. Is like Valeria technically doesn't have powers, but her intellect
it's her mind that
her intellect surpasses even her father, which is supposed to be the big thing there. And then there's Franklin, who's insane. I believe he's a mutant, but he's like a crazy Omega.
He's like an Omega. He's like, I think he may be beyond Omega. Like his power level
top of the Omega. Like
he's like the Goku of the
yeah.
You know, it's just like his power level. It's like over
he's crazy.
It's over 9,000.
That character's always fascinated me because it's like, I don't know, him and Valeria, strangely, I never really get a sense of them as characters. It's probably because I just haven't read enough like Fantastic Four, but like to me they've always just been kind of like intelligence and like insane like cosmic power, but like their actual character development and like that kind of stuff, I don't know. I don't really know much about them as like people, I guess.
Yeah, I did think it was just kind of interesting, like looking at them and then being like, you know, the power level of these two kids combined, like what they would be able to do.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
you know, they could probably take over Earth 616 if they put their minds to it. But like, you know,
100%.
I think it's just like it was just kind of interesting to see like their scenes together and see that like they have so much power, yet they're still kids in this, you know, and they're still like have kid desires. Like
Though there was
hitching a ride on the like hitching a ride on the horse
yeah.
to go to New World.
That was funny. But I was gonna say there was that scene where we get like a glimpse of them as like a or at least their adult life or something, because Franklin that was Franklin, I believe, who came back.
Yeah, old Franklin comes back
and he was sent by Valeria. So like we kind of get this sense of where they'll end up. So
yeah, that was a interesting little thing, and I think we'll be able to get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that eventually.
Yeah. I really like this scene as well with Reed, you know, basically being told like by like his alternate version, like what the price of solving everything is, and that is giving up everything. You know, and again, this was like one of those moments that felt very Superman-ish to me, because like that's, you know, I think that, you know, it's the same kind. I think that's like a similar thing for Superman. That you know, or more like Clark Kent. I think that like, and I would say sometimes it changes, but to me, it always feels like with Superman, he doesn't want to like completely disconnect from humanity in the same way that Reed, like for 616 Reed, you know, the cost of giving up everything isn't worth the price of solving everything.
Yeah, no, it's a very similar struggle. You know, Superman, he could become this, you know, this godlike being and maybe fix all the world's problems. But what's the cost of that? Oh, you know, it's Lois. It's, you know, his son. It's a similar thing as Reed. It's just
I guess another. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little different in the sense of, you know, Reed's ultimate power is a little more, you know, intellectual, scientific. Superman, he could actually he can like fly into the sun and become this like sun god like this. So it's, you know, obviously.
Yeah, I definitely think too that kind of it does make for more interesting, like fight scenes and stuff, because you kind of get to see Reed have to like kind of think on his feet and come up with, you know, like he brings out the gun, which I don't even the and like the what is it even called? I don't universal entropy gun. Like that apparently is able to like disperse the energy of the Celestials. I was like, I don't even know what's going on here, but you know, it's interesting, and it's more than Superman would do, which is just be like, I'm just gonna like lobotomy you to death. You know?
Yeah. I mean, Reed does not have the physical prowess, obviously, of Superman. He uses a mix of stretchy arms and his brain. So
yeah.
All these Reeds seem to have different powers, though.
That was also interesting to me, because like, yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Like there was the one that was like, I'm just a guy, you know, and it's like, oh, you know, like that kind of sucks. You know, all these Reeds, it's like, you know, you have you know, intelligence plus something else, but this one's just a guy, you know.
Yeah. And then well, I don't know if we want to get to that, like the end of this whole scene where, you know, that one Reed loses his intelligence because his mind gets all scrambled, and it's like that's all he had, really.
Yeah, he has nothing now. He's just a man.
Yes.
Know?
And he doesn't even have his family and stuff. So that's the whole point, I guess, of the scene.
Yeah, I think that's a I think that's a big point. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
For Reed, he has to ask himself, like even if you take away his super intelligence, if you take away his powers, he still has his family, he still has his friends, he still has his wife and kids. These Reeds have nothing.
And I think there's a serious question here though, like which is the nobler route, because you could look at it from one way and think that this 616 Reed is kind of selfish in some way, because he's choosing to keep his family over like the greater good here, saving his universe and other universes or whatever. But like on the flip side, you could also see it as kind of selfish for him to forsake his family and go and join this council and leave them when they need him and they want him. So it's like, I don't know, like who's more selfish, 616 Reed or the other Reeds who have given up their life? Like, I don't know.
I think
here
personally, I feel like it's the council that's more selfish, and my reason for that is that kind of the basis of their whole existence is the idea that like that their own self-interest, even if they're kind of putting it as this idea of, there's just one correct way to solve everything, is that it's still just, I mean, if we can look at it like that, these Reeds seem to it's not a hive mind, but they generally have this like similar ideas and similar ways of looking at things. So it's like, what's to say that Reed Richards' way of solving everything is the correct way, or that he alone is right? Because if the council got what they wanted, it would basically be Reed Richards ruling everything. They would be doing it to what they saw as good, but they would still just be playing God, and it's like, is that, even if they have good intentions, is that still true good? I think that's
it's like they're choosing their right. They're choosing what they believe is right, and who's to say that really is the ultimate right way? I see what you're saying. That's a really good point. I don't even like, more than just selfish. I think it's all, it's also obviously super arrogant.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how we thought, like when Reed was talking earlier, that he was being arrogant, but really it's these other Reeds who are arrogant.
Yeah. It's also kind of, I also got like Dr. Manhattan vibes too, from
Yes.
In terms of like the way in which like these Reeds kind of were thinking, and I think you could draw a lot of comparisons to kind of the personality, the idea of like being greater than everything else.
Yeah.
So we move on to new. Oh yeah, you want?
I was going to say that like the only thing that I feel like really distinguishes them from Dr. Manhattan, I think, is that they do feel a little bit more human. He feels a little more detached, like from people, I guess, if that makes sense.
Well, that's what I think is the thing, is that once these Reeds give everything up, then I think that's kind of what turns them more into like the Dr. Manhattan nature.
Yeah.
It still seems like they have like, I would say they have more human personality in terms of the way they speak, but in terms of how they think, it very much seems similar to Manhattan, where it's just like they're only really thinking about things on like the universal scale, and they aren't really bothered with individual lives anymore.
Yeah, they might be more so on the path to becoming more Dr. Manhattans. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the further away they get from humanity.
Yeah. So we go to New World, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not really give a shit about New World at all.
God, dude, same. No. This was like the low point of this arc for me. I mean, the first stuff was fine, like the Reed Council stuff, the Celestials. I mean, I think it was the most amazing thing. I thought it was good. I thought it was, whatever. The New World thing, I was just like so bored. I was like, okay, please get through this. I just want to get anything else.
Yeah, I think like the only real two things I wanted to kind of touch on with this issue were, one, again, I think it was cool to see Hickman's kind of creativity, and he's really kind of constructing a universe in a single issue, which is cool. But again, I thought we saw a couple pretty gruesome scenes with what was her, Psionics, and Alyssa, where you see that was where like you see Psionics literally like crush Alyssa's brain and squish
I hated
her.
I hated how, I was like, oh no, why?
Yeah. And then literally like the next page you have Bruce Banner Jr. Hulk like literally punch off Psionic's head.
Oh my god!
It's like, holy crap! This is like
not PG.
They went like Mortal Kombat style with this.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
It was gruesome. And then basically, other than that, the only other thing I thought that was really of note in this issue was I think we saw kind of the power of Valeria Richards.
Oh yes.
Kind of saw just what she was capable of. That like she was able to literally do the work of like a team of 100 scientists by herself. So that was kind of cool. And I think again it kind of showed us like these are not like Valeria and Franklin are not normal, they're not just your average kids,
No, not at all. They are definitely children of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. I did like the little scene too though with Franklin where he gives
like the story.
Ted Castle a sandwich.
Oh yeah, that scene, that was cute.
That was cute, yeah. Like, and that's the thing I kind of, because I would say that like Franklin kind of, and I think Hickman does a good job, but Franklin really does kind of come off as a kid, like overall, like
more so than Valeria.
Yeah, like, because like Franklin like makes a multiple insults like to Johnny, where he calls him suckface or whatever. It's like he's a kid, but he still has a good heart, in him.
Yeah.
Even if he's gonna do kid things,
Yeah, definitely. And then there's the final, like, I guess this is kind of a transition to the next issue, but like this whole issue is supposed to be framed in like Franklin recounting it to Sue.
To Sue.
And at the end,
the night before his birthday.
Yeah. It's a cute scene where she's like, "Yeah, happy you were there," whatever.
Yeah. that is a thing I noticed that like I don't know. I do feel like as a kind of family goes, Sue seems like a much better mom than Reed is as a father.
I think that's not a hard conversation. I mean, Reed's just generally like he tries to be connected with the family, but like he's just so different than a lot of them. Maybe less than Valeria, but I don't really know how much they acknowledge that she had her intelligence. But like he's what
it kind of seemed like to me was that I think Reed is kind of worried that he wants to make sure that Valeria doesn't go down like the wrong path. Because I think that he knows that she's already more intelligent than he is, but I think he wants to make sure that he can kind of steer her into making sure that she kind of maintains her humanity,
Similar
and doesn't just become a brain of just science and math and numbers.
Yeah, and I think we see the flashback scenes with him and his father, and how his father kind of, instilled those values in him to, not just focus all on his intellectual pursuits, but remember, to be a good family man, to be a good father and husband. And I think, maybe I don't think we really get much of that in this issue, but maybe he's conscious of the fact that he needs to do the same kind of thing for Valeria.
Yeah. And I thought that was touching too, where Nathaniel and he is like telling Reed, like, like, I want you to basically be a better man than I was, and I was like, yeah, that hits hard, So we arrive at the birthday.
This is fun.
This issue I thought was much better than the last issue. I actually think that this was probably my second or third favorite issue.
I love this one as well.
Yeah. I thought it was really, really cute, where you kind of see all of Franklin's friends, of various species.
Yeah.
And again, I think like this is one of those times where you see really Hickman showing, I think, his knowledge of the Marvel verse, and and I think he just kind of had fun with it, and I think
for sure,
and I think that it also made the reader kind of have fun with it too.
Oh yeah, I like Spider-Man's appearance.
Yeah, Spider-Man was great.
Okay, can I say how much I love the gift that they gave to Spider-Man?
Yeah, that was great.
That was so funny when Johnny gives him the book. What was it? A Loser's Guide to Picking Up Women. Just great.
That's funny to me too, because it's like, honestly, that for Peter, he probably doesn't actually need it, which is
nah, he does not.
Yeah, Peter gets around. I thought what was his Leech getting the key. I thought that was really touching.
Yeah, it was cute.
That like Franklin, because I think that's the thing I think we really see is that like Franklin really does care about his friends, and he's a good kid.
He's a great kid. And there's also that one that helmet that can allow.
So she can like communicate with her mind. Yeah.
Yes. That was really, and that was Valeria had a part in that as well.
Yeah, I thought it was really sweet. We see the last
good kids.
Yeah, you see like the last panel of the party. You see like just Spider-Man chilling with Johnny and
I love it.
and the thing eating cake. It's like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, it's really not. It's kind of nice when you see these Marvel characters kind of just like living their life, kind of having fun. Like you don't get a whole lot of that. The kind of off day kind of stuff, like when they're not being superheroes.
Yeah, I always like that stuff. I think, yeah. And I think we really see here, like this is, I think, a great issue where we really see how close I think the Fantastic Four are as a family, and I think we see part of why I think Reed made the decision that he did, because this is his family and his friends, and these are people that he really loves and cares about, and to give it up to play God is something that it's not worth it for him,
Yes. Yeah. And that makes complete sense to me.
Yeah. So we arrive at the final little bit of this issue, which I think is really, it seemed to me at least set up for kind of future things going on, where we see future Franklin first he knocks out little Franklin, and then he goes on to have the conversation with Valeria. Yeah, I thought it was really, I really liked how they did it, where like when he goes in to like talk to her, like the whole like the background of the panels change to like her drawings.
Yeah.
And like you see her like the drawings of like her like scribbles of doom, and like of like the Fantastic Four and man, what's it called from Da Vinci? I can't remember the name of the art. Where it's like the guy with like his arms outstretched.
I can't remember what it's called.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, I see that though.
Yeah. I thought that was a nifty little thing.
It's interesting what she's drawing.
Yeah.
You're like Namor's up there.
Yeah, Namor's. Yeah, so we get, again, I thought it was a cool way too how we did it with like the whole because you're the one who sent me here when she
Oh,
asks okay,
okay.
that's pretty. I was like, all right, that's a cool setup. Like, and I'm now it made me kind of interested to read more.
Yeah. Also, like, there's the beginning of the scene when he seems like he's some kind of villain coming in, and like we're misled along with like the actual Fantastic Four because Sue's like, you're gonna like something about him like never being born or something. And then you find out that it's Franklin. And you're like, oh yeah. She says, I'm going to find you, and I'm going to find you and make you wish had never been born. And it's like,
yeah.
Okay, so maybe take that back if she had a little more information.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was something that was kind of interesting too. And now going back, it makes sense as to why.
Yes, exactly.
Because he doesn't actually attack them; he just blocks them off. Which I think is a neat touch. Because obviously, if he was a real villain, he probably would have just like. And if it was like an evil Franklin, he would have just killed them or something. Well, but he
to be fair, it seems like
force field.
Yeah, it seemed to them and to the reader at first that he was like blocking them off so he could do something to their children.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what happens, but like it seemed like he might like try to kidnap them or kill them or something like that. So I think that I don't think it's clear that he's like not a villain until he like talks to Valeria, because he could have done something bad to Franklin there for all we know. Like, we don't know that he just puts him to sleep, kind of. So it's like, yeah, like I get what you're saying, like that he might have like actually attacked the Fantastic Four, but also like it would make sense if he doesn't really care about them, just to get them out of the way and not have to deal with them if he wanted to do something to Franklin and Valeria.
Yeah. I did. So as we kind of get to the end here, I think two things to kind of look at. One, I thought it was cool with Valeria where it looks like she like pulls up like the phone, like the frame, and you see like all her like her math scribbles the same way that Reed has his, like in his kind of workroom, which I thought was a nice touch. And we also got the awesome like 2 panels at the end with Franklin creating a beta universe.
Oh yes.
So what I kind of was wondering with that, was that a case, because future Rich Franklin says, rest and remember what you are. Did little Franklin not really, I assume he knew he had powers, but it seemed like maybe they were like dormant or something? Or do you think it was just that we just didn't see him using them before at this point?
It's not entirely clear. I think that's probably like, I don't know. It's not clear to me. I think if we probably read the preceding Fantastic Four, like, I don't know. Did Hickman did he create Valeria and Franklin, or did they exist before this run?
Like they existed before his run.
So if they existed before his run, I assume that we'd probably need to know some of their history to know if he'd been using his powers and how conscious he was of them. Because, for all we know, reading just this arc alone, it's like he could have just been like maybe slightly known about them, but kind of seeing his future self kind of ignites this desire to actually like use them. I don't know. It doesn't really make it clear just in this issue.
Yeah. So as we kind of wrap up here, if we want to look at ratings, what would you say your rating would be for this volume?
Yeah. So as I kind of mentioned in the beginning, I thought it was good. Wasn't my favorite thing ever. Wasn't in love with it. I'd say I give it like a 3 stars, which, is good. Like it's not my favorite. I think that maybe the later volumes I like more. But
I would say I would give it like a 3.5, 3.75, mostly because I really liked the second, third, and fifth issues. The third issue especially, I don't know. I thought it was just, it really got me thinking, and I thought particularly to what I liked about it was that it got me thinking without going into like just being like, here, I'm gonna write you like an essay or something, just in the veil of a comic book. Like it was really more, it got me thinking because of the story and because of the characters' interactions within the world that felt, believable. It wasn't just like here's like, just a, paragraphs upon paragraphs upon paragraphs that a character is saying, but it's not really, tying in with anything.
Yeah, and that's what good fiction does, It tells you something, but makes it very easy to digest.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. So next episode, I have made my decision for our graphic novel, and it's going to be Batman: The Killing Joke by Alan Moore.
Let's go.
Yeah, I know Alex is very excited for this.
My favorite Batman story of all time. So,
I have read it once. As viewers of this channel know, Batman Year One is my personal favorite of the Bat stories, but I really enjoyed Killing Joke, and I think we're going to have some great opportunities to kind of look at how two real masters of the craft go about their interpretations of the character in different ways.
It just occurred to me as we're talking about The Killing Joke. I actually think I wrote an essay in high school on this comic.
I think I did one on the Long Hollow Wound, which I will say I think yours was probably much better, because I don't know if the Long Hollow Wound really stands up as a literary thing. But maybe if we get to that, we can talk about that later.
Okay, yeah, we maybe we'll choose that later on, because I love the Long Halloween as well.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next episode.